Listen, they should have had things like this hanging from the sides of the Titanic, because when people were bobbing up and down in the middle of the Atlantic, they could have all grabbed onto this life raft by these handles here, and a lot more would have survived that crash. I mean, look at the size of this thing. Like, both Jack and Rose could have comfortably laid on this thing waiting for rescue. Am I right? Hey, party people. Welcome to the Stump Zoe Challenge. This might be the first video in this series. This might be the last video in this series. Let's see how it goes. I asked people to send me photos of outfits they thought would be super challenging for me to illustrate. And out of all the submissions, I chose the 4 that I felt were the most challenging, and also featured things that y'all could learn from as I rendered it. And then I posted the poll again on Instagram, and this Montclair Craig Green collaboration, this one was the clear winner by 6 percentage points. And yeah, if you're not following me on Instagram, you're missing out on all the fun. So follow me on Instagram at Zoe Hong. But anyway, so that's what we're doing. We're rendering this masterpiece of insanity. All right, that's what I'm gonna call it. This video, FYI, is not sponsored. Montclair doesn't know who I am. Craig Green doesn't know who I am. Let's go. I've printed out the Montclair outfit twice. This one is glossy photo paper, and I did it so that I can really see the color and the details the most. And then I also printed it out on this regular photocopy paper. I did this because I like to make notes and scribble on the original. You'll see me do that in this video. I don't know how this is gonna go. This is I am over caffeinated. I am nervous. Whoo, good times for everybody. First of all, again, because this is a symmetrical thing, listen, what we're really focusing on here, we're not rendering any difficult textures or prints or patterns or anything. This is really going to be a study on proportions and angles to get really the shapes and like the proportions correct. And also, we're working with a lot of light and shadow. And if you've watched my quilted fabrics video, I already have one of those. I'll link that below. You already know that we're going to try to get that 3D roundness, you know, all these little pieces. We're going to try to get that 3D effect with shadow. And, you know, conveniently, this one has like one particular strong light source over here. So you're seeing a lot more light over here, and this part is in definite shadow. So at least this is not one of those like super difficult to figure out the light source sort of photo editorials. So there's that. Let's start with the face, okay? So you see the face, and he's kind of like right in here. Now the face is like here, okay? So, and I see his chin. No, it should be longer and narrower. Here are his hands. His wrists are, it's easier to do it on this because you can't really draw on photo paper with a pencil. But his hands, his wrists are here. And this bar sits above that. So his wrists are here. And this emblem, it's, you know, part of this graphic that they use over and over, here, 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 is like right at his crotch. Okay, all right. So that's where the wrists are. That's where that emblem is sitting. This main bar is kind of sitting above that. And then the ends of the bar are sitting kind of under his fingers, like here. And you want to pay attention to the angles. You know what's a good video to watch is my figure drawing angles and proportions video, where I really focus on how the angles can really make your drawing come together if you get your angles right. So we're doing the angles. This angle is actually a little bit sharper than the other because nothing is truly symmetrical. That's fine. So I'm gonna drop all of this. This is gonna sit, I'm gonna say it's like this shape and this shape. That is a shape, all right. And that placement is a thing. Okay. Here, 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 like halfway point is this square. I think my original bar placement was fine. Okay, so we're going back to that. Now we have this oblong piece that comes down to, here are his ankles. There are this guy's ankles. And this guy's well, yeah, his ankles are about here. And these pieces go past the ankle to the top of the foot. And then these sections end at ankle. This middle section goes above. So we're going to do that. That middle piece is going to sit like that. This space and this space are about the same. So, you know, like that. So the orange pieces end about there. And then this is about 2/3 that way. So we're here. And then we have more quilted pieces here and here. You know, these pieces, this one is coming directly under this bottom part. And this one's shifted over a little bit. Again, I'm going to say, remember, not perfectly symmetrical, close to symmetrical, okay? So this comes down, and it's like about the same, not quite here, but the same here as the bottom of these orange pieces. And this one is like almost straight up and down, give or take, just a little bit. And this angles up. I'm going to go out a little bit more. And then on this side, it's a little bit out. Like so. Let's draw our hands. Just doing this just to keep track. It's getting a little bit insane, right? So that part is the darker orange. His feet are the darker orange. He's got these little booties on. There's some ruching going on in the booty. That sounded dirtier than I meant it. All right. I like to draw like the most prominent pieces, the biggest pieces, the topmost pieces, and then layer things behind it, things that are going to be hidden. So let's draw this. So this part comes out a little bit more, but more horizontally. And then we have this thing. So it's kind of this triangle. No, shorter, much shorter. And this angle, yeah, that seems about right. This middle long piece goes all the way down here. So close to, oh, see, there's not enough space there. So I'm going to do this and this. And then, so that's kind of where that goes. And like that, and like that. And we'll have different drapes here and whatnot, but that's not as important. You see there's another piece that's sticking out like that, and that's about the same length as that. So it's about here. We have another piece that protrudes here. I think the proportions are getting there, yeah? Yeah, see, like that, like that, like that, and like that. And then, I don't know if you all can see that, but do you see how there's this bar here and bars here? So we have this in here and this in here. And then we have, and then, I'm going to say that a lot. And then, no and then. No and then. Guess the movie. And then we have some drapes in here. And I don't really know what's happening with these drapes, but there's drapes in here. You want to know something? I want to know what the flats look like, what these design sketches look like. You know, what the pattern maker had to look at to figure out what was happening here. I am stressed and I am pressing too hard on these pencils. So all this back here is this darker color. That's all I'm designating with this. All of this back here is the darker color. This. Now I sound like a truck backing up. This. Okay, BRB, I gotta clean that. I wanna redo this head. I think this head is too big. I'm also drawing on a much darker, softer pencil lead than I normally would for drafting. That's why everything is so smudgy, because I want to make sure the camera really picks up on everything I'm drawing. I tell you, you know, maybe it's because I'm Korean and Koreans have big heads, but I tend to draw people with bigger heads, slightly bigger, a little bit like that, more is like it. And then we have this piece. And then we have it doesn't go all the way to this bar. I'm gonna say it goes to about there. You know what's nice about this is usually like when I'm rendering something, I'm talking about all these clothes and I like have to talk about all this clothing vocabulary because I like to call things the correct name. And then I have to backtrack explaining what all these vocabulary terms are. But I don't have to do that in this one because everything is a bar or a pipe or like there's no vocabulary. Everyone knows, I mean, most people know what bars and pipes are, so. And this one, it goes like just on the outer edges of the arm. So that works. Okay. And now we have this inside piece. And then we have the square in here. And then we have another piece in here. Wait, that's like super asymmetrical. That's not helping me. Like that. It's asymmetrical, but it's... And then his eyes are here and his mouth is here. So let's mark that. And then these ears. They do not stick out as far as the points of this bar. Almost, but not quite. So let's put that there. Like so. And they start about there. So I'm going to do this and angle it more like that. Again, angle it more like that. And then we have more things that stick out. And then we have orange drapes back here. No, okay, there's no gap there, but there's a gap there. So we shall bring this down. It's like almost matching. More orange drapes. Like you don't see the arm at all. See? That's distinctly his hand and his skin tone. But this is all orange in here. So we're just gonna mark that as the arms are inside. This is really the only place that's sticking out. And you can see the backdrop, this gray backdrop. So this one goes all the way through. There's something going through there. So let's do these arcing things, which are just gonna be the worst when it comes to symmetry, but here we go. So let's start here. It covers his eyes. this is where his eye line is. So let's start here, and it covers here. See, the whole thing is too long. Beautiful. Okay. So I'm going to do this, and this is going to do this. And then again, his eyes are here, and then this starts, you know, a little bit down, and it covers his nose and his eyes. So that's going to be this banner here. Endpoints are kind of like, I thought this wire was coming, but it's coming from behind. Lord. So we're doing this, but also this sort of thing. That's that banner. And it says Montclair here. And then we have more thingies that stick out. In this context, thingy is the correct word, okay? That's what I've decided. They are thingies. And we're allowed to call them that. And oh no, I snorted. And then we have this shape back here. And also some drape happening back here. And then we have this bar. Anybody craving crab all of a sudden? No, just me? Okay. Okay, so let's do that. And this is arcing less. So they're not going to be parallel arcs. And I have not forgotten this. We're going to do that in a minute. So they get less rounded as we go. And so this is going out. This one, the pipe is coming out, and the pipe is coming out, and the pipe ends like here. So we're ending the pipe here and here. Then these pipes that are coming from behind end like here. Pro tip, if this was supposed to stay clean, I would have like drawn all this and like move the paper around, but this is just a rough. So, and then we have another dingle bopper. I'm like the Little Mermaid over here, just making up words for all this stuff because I don't know what the real words are. Okay, this is actually should be much smaller. So let's erase some of that. And then we have this, and it comes to this point. So you see how I'm constantly referencing back and forth, and I do correct myself and erase and change as I'm finding out like how, making sure the puzzle pieces are working together. And we have this doohickey that is give or take as wide as the face piece. While I'm doing this, now would be a great time for you to like this video or share it or subscribe to my channel, join the membership, follow me on Instagram, right? I'm such a bad YouTuber. I'm like really bad at reminding people to do all those things. But yeah, you should do all those things if you love me. Like this. So this wire ends here. This banner comes out further. If you had been yelling at me about that before, look at you being all correct and stuff. Well, let's balance that out here. These little wires, you see the little wires? It's coming out, coming out. Now, I think the last thing we do at this point are the little flags. And then this one starts about up there, kind of using these bars as a reference. Is this coming out further, or does the flag need to be closer? A little of both. All right. That's the rough. Can I stop now? Can I be done? Like, no, Zoe, you have to render the whole thing. Fine. Fine. BRB. So, a few things about tracing onto paper your final sketch in general. Whether it's on marker paper or it's on watercolor paper using a light box. First of all, I am using a harder lead so that it's less soft, dark, smudgy, and tends to be crisper. I definitely use a 0.5 or a 0.3 when I can for this kind of precision work, whereas I might use like a 0.7 or a 0.5 softer like B2B lead for more sketching stuff. But for precision work like this, more precise, it's not so much this pencil. This is a nice pencil. This is a Uni Shalaku, but it's really about the lead. You want to keep everything as clean as possible. And definitely something like this, you want to keep wiping your hand with a damp towel so that you're not spreading pencil smudges everywhere. And then this is also when this skinny little pencil comes in handy. Now, you want to kind of balance how much drawing you put on your initial drawing, because you want to put in enough detail where you know where to render everything, but you don't want to put in like too much unnecessary detail, because remember, you're going to be markering on top or painting on top, and you don't want to smudge the lead. You want to put down the minimum required to get all the details. I really should have figured this part out before I started sketching, because I don't like to erase too much on final paper because it ruins the texture, especially on watercolor paper. But oh well. I hope you're paying attention, because I expect all y'all to do this and post it on Instagram and tag me in them. I know I'm missing some wrinkles, but I am not really caring about a few wrinkles in the overall scheme of things, if you get what I'm saying. I'm not super sure what's going on with the booties. They're like scrunched. There's some sort of drawstring shoelace. I don't know how far up they go. I don't know if it's all that important right now. You know, even now, for me, the important things are just constantly checking that things, you know, line up and are still like good proportions, things are meeting up, like that the negative space looks correct. Like this negative space in here, you know, looks similar. This negative space also, they should be close to mirror images, but not quite. It's like the internet. It's a series of tubes. All right. I think that's it. Let's shake it out. Let's shake it out. Because usually when I'm trying to draw like super precise, I gotta shake it out before I can like do other steps. All right. So first I'm going to do the skin tone. Pro tip, whenever you're working with marker paper, you always have to figure out which side is the right side and which side is the wrong side. Because marker paper, even though they look identical to the naked eye, they definitely have a wrong side and a right side. So, you know, I was testing out colors on this scrap before, and this is the right side. See, when you marker on the wrong side, it looks streaky and uneven. It's not smooth like this. You see that? Drop shadow. Remember, this is our light source. I'm just putting in some shadows. Put it in the lip. Usually I emphasize shadowing on skin tone because then you can really see the 3D nature of the body with the clothes. But in this case, now I'm going to start with the orange because it's the smaller parts. This is the part where I really worry that I am going to color the wrong part orange. So, take your time is what I'm saying. I like to use this scrap piece of paper under my hand so I'm not smearing lead everywhere as I work. I know some of these shadowed areas, it's not this bright orange, but it's just the two fabric colors is the orange and the yellow orange, the marigold. So I'm just marking it and then I'll be going over it with darker orange colors, like all these colors that I picked out. Okay, so remember this is a hole, so don't color that. See, these are all holes, so let's make sure we mark those. In terms of budget-friendly professional grade markers, alcohol-based professional grade markers, Prismacolor is on the more inexpensive end, and so are Blick. I don't have any Blick right now. I don't have a ton of Blick colors, but the quality is very good. BLICK. Those are also good. I mean, Copics are very expensive, so if that's not within your budget, do not fret. You can still get markers and start doing renderings. I know there's some other brands people like what's the one that starts with an O? The ooh-ha-has, ooh-ee, ooh-ha-ha, ting-tang, walla-walla, bing-bang, something. I know a lot of you like those markers. I've never tried them myself, so I don't know, I can't say. Ooh-hoo-hoos? But as I mentioned before, I think I mentioned it before, I pick markers, there's like a standard of quality, and within those brands, I just pick according to the color I need. I'm always trying to match my fabric color the best. So out of the brands that I like to use, I just go around looking for the color I need. So there are some negative spaces in here. Mine are a little bit bigger, but my hands are also turned more to the side than out, so I'm going to leave those be. But there is our base. I mean, to be honest, I like the roughness of my initial sketch. This is more my personal style. I like a looser, rougher style. But when I'm teaching, I do tend to get a little more precise, more exact, so that my students can see what I'm doing more precisely. All right, let's drop some shadows. I always build shadows light to dark. As complicated as this all seems, you still can just follow my rules for shading. Pick your light source. What's on the dark side of the light? What's under the light? And what is casting shadows? Like this drape over here is casting a shadow onto the, like there, it's angled out, so it's casting a shadow. This top piece is like awning, so it's casting a shadow, So pick out what's on the dark side of the light, what's underneath the light, and what is casting shadows onto the light, okay? And then everything over here is just everything on this side is gonna be darker because it's on the other side of the light. So on this side, I'm not even rendering shadows. I'm just laying down the darker color because that's just going to be the base. Except this part, this part that sticks out. When you have all these darks and lights, you're really creating depth, all these layers and layers of depth. And then this is my darker orange. Marker is wetter than anyone actually thinks. And you actually have time to blend out marker before it dries. And also you have to let layers of marker dry to not let the ink, the alcohol, just flood and float all over the place. And that's why I'm alternating between the yellow and the orange. Let that alcohol evaporate off before I move on to the next thing. All right, second layer of shadow. I definitely prefer going like darker and darker yellows and darker oranges to create shadows as opposed to adding grays. Now, the rule with grays is cool grays for blues and purples and warm grays for reds and oranges. Pinks will depend on the undertone of the pink. And then with yellows and greens, you want something like a French gray. And Prismacolor French gray looks a lot like Copic warm gray. But both of those have like a greenish undertone. And it's taupey looking. So I pulled these taupey, this one's mocha dark, mocha light, light umber to create the deepest shadows, like past like darker orange, darker yellow. Always test on a swatch before you lay down on final color because better safe than sorry. Another thing I like to do is to punch out the dark side so that it really looks like the dark side. All right, party people, did I pass or did I fail? If you saw this by itself, would you be able to be like, oh, that looks like that Montclair Craig Green collaboration piece? Does it look like a reasonable facsimile? Let me know in the comments. Would you like another Stump Zoe video? Then y'all need to drop me a comment saying you want another Stump Zoe video and follow me on Instagram to vote in the future polls.